Now let's talk about something real, something raw. You wake up every morning with that familiar knot in your stomach, don't you? That underlying anxiety about money that never quite goes away, no matter how hard you work or how many hours you put in. You check your bank account and feel that sinking sensation when the numbers stare back at you. Barely enough to cover what you need, let alone what you want. Has this ever happened to you? You see other people posting about their successes, their new cars, their dream vacations, their thriving businesses, and you can't help but wonder what secret they know that you don't. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth and opportunities while you're constantly struggling just to keep your head above water? It's a question that haunts millions of people every single day. And if you're watching this right now, chances are you've asked yourself this very question more times than you'd like to admit. The truth is, you're not alone in this struggle. And more importantly, what I'm about to share with you could completely transform the way you experience prosperity in your life. The frustration builds because you're not lazy. You're not sitting around doing nothing. In fact, you're probably working harder than most people you know. You're on that hamster wheel, running faster and faster, yet somehow you're still in the same place you were months ago, maybe even years ago. The opportunities that seem to flow so easily to others feel like they're perpetually just out of your reach. It's exhausting, isn't it? This constant battle between what you dream about and what actually shows up in your reality. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And here's what makes it even worse. You've tried things. Maybe you've read the books, watched the videos, repeated the affirmations in the mirror while getting ready in the morning. You've told yourself that today will be different, that you're going to think more positively, that you're going to attract abundance. But then life happens, the bills arrive, an unexpected expense pops up, and all those good intentions crumble like sand through your fingers. You start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, this whole manifestation thing doesn't actually work, or worse, that it works for everyone except you. But what if I told you that the problem isn't you, and it isn't that the law of attraction doesn't work? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. The issue is that you've been missing one crucial element, one simple practice that Joseph Murphy spoke about extensively, a practice so powerful that when applied correctly and consistently, it becomes virtually impossible for lack to remain in your experience. What you're struggling with right now isn't a character flaw or bad luck. It's simply a misunderstanding of how the universal laws of prosperity actually operate, and more specifically, how your own words are either blocking or releasing the infinite supply that's already yours. You see, most people who discover the power of affirmations and positive thinking go through this predictable cycle. At first, there's excitement, a genuine spark of hope. They stand in front of the mirror, maybe after watching an inspiring video or reading a transformational book, and they start declaring things. I am wealthy, money flows to me easily, I am abundant. And in that moment, there's a tiny flicker of possibility. But then comes the internal voice, that skeptical whisper that says, really? You're talking to yourself in the bathroom mirror and expecting your life to change. The whole practice starts, feeling absurd, almost childish, like you're playing pretend instead of actually creating real transformation in your life. The problem deepens because there's a fundamental disconnect happening. Your conscious mind is saying one thing, but your deeper belief system, the one that's been programmed over decades of experiences and conditioning, is saying something completely different. It's like trying to install new software on an operating system that's incompatible. The words just bounce off the surface of your consciousness without ever penetrating deep enough to create actual change. And so you give up, convinced that manifestation is just wishful thinking for people who don't live in the real world, people who don't have bills to pay and responsibilities to handle. But here's the hidden truth that Joseph Murphy understood so profoundly, the revelation that changes everything. The issue was never about the power of your words or the validity of universal laws. Those laws are as real and reliable as gravity itself. The problem is that you've been using the wrong key. Imagine standing in front of a locked door, desperately trying to open it with a key that looks similar, that almost fits. But no matter how much you jiggle it, twist it, or force it, the door remains stubbornly closed. You could stand there for hours, days, years even, wearing yourself out with effort and frustration, but that door will never open because the key simply doesn't match the lock. This is exactly what's been happening with your attempts at prosperity. The approach you've been taught, the methods you've been using, they're close, but they're not quite right. There's a precision required here, a specific way of engaging with these universal principles that most people never discover because they give up too soon, assuming the door itself is the problem, rather than realizing they just need the correct key. The journey to abundance isn't about working harder or wanting more desperately. It's about understanding the mechanics behind manifestation, the hidden patterns that govern how thoughts become things, how words become reality. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because what I'm about to share with you is the actual key that fits perfectly into the lock. Joseph Murphy spoke extensively about the power of the subconscious mind, but there's one specific practice, one particular way of using your words that acts as a direct command to the universe itself. This isn't about hoping or wishing. This is about activating a law that works whether you believe in it or not. Just like gravity doesn't require your faith to function. The impact this understanding can have on your financial reality is nothing short of miraculous, and the beauty of it is in its simplicity. Write in the comments, "I'm ready for the right key." Let me know you're following along with this. What I'm about to reveal to you might sound almost too simple to be effective. And that's exactly why so many people overlook it. There's a specific sentence, a particular arrangement of words that when spoken with intention and repeated at regular intervals throughout your day, acts as a direct activation code for the law of prosperity. Think of it like a frequency you're broadcasting into the universe, a signal that aligns you with the flow of abundance that's constantly moving all around you. And the fascinating thing about this law is that it operates with the same reliability as any physical law. Just as gravity pulls objects toward the earth, whether you understand physics or not, this prosperity law responds to your words, whether you fully grasp the mechanism behind it or not. The key difference between this practice and everything else you've tried lies in the precision and the consistency. Most people approach manifestation like they're throwing darts in the dark, hoping something sticks. They say an affirmation when they remember, usually when they're feeling particularly desperate or inspired, and then they go about their day letting their default programming take over again. But this method requires you to interrupt that default pattern systematically, to create a new rhythm in your consciousness that doesn't give the old, lack-based thinking any room to breathe. By repeating this specific sentence every single hour, you're essentially reprogramming your subconscious mind through sheer repetition and frequency. Now, this goes far beyond just positive thinking or feel-good statements. This isn't about standing in front of a mirror and complimenting yourself or pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. The transformation that Joseph Murphy spoke about comes from understanding the actual mechanics of consciousness, the hidden architecture behind how your inner world constructs your outer reality. When you speak certain words in a certain way, you're not just making noise or expressing hope. You're issuing a command to the most powerful force in your life, your subconscious mind, which controls approximately 95% of your daily decisions and behaviors without you even realizing it. The revelation here is that specific words carry specific vibrational frequencies and create specific results. This isn't mystical nonsense. It's about the impact that language has on your neural pathways, on your belief systems, on the filter through which you perceive opportunities and possibilities. When you declare something with conviction and repeat it with consistency, you're literally rewiring the circuitry of your brain. You're creating new patterns of thought that automatically lead to new patterns of action, which naturally produce new results in your external circumstances. If this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe. I create content that delivers real, practical wisdom that actually works. Subscribe so the next breakthrough insight finds you when you need it most. But here's where most people miss the deeper truth behind this practice. It's not about the universe magically dropping money into your lap while you sit on the couch. The journey of manifestation is far more elegant and intelligent than that. What happens is that your heightened awareness, your shifted mindset, your transformed inner state begins attracting different opportunities, different people, different ideas that were always there but that you couldn't see before because you were tuned to a different frequency. You start making decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, and those decisions compound over time into dramatically different outcomes. Put down in the comments, "I'm tuning to abundance." This helps anchor what you're learning right now. The universe doesn't operate on luck, coincidence, or random chance, no matter how much it might feel that way when you're in the thick of struggle. Behind everything that appears chaotic or unfair, there are precise laws at work. Laws as consistent and predictable as the ones that govern electricity or gravity. When you flip a light switch, you don't wonder if the electricity will work today or if it's in the mood to cooperate. You expect it to function because you understand there's a reliable system in place. The same principle applies to manifestation and prosperity. There's a systematic process happening behind the scenes of your life, and once you understand how to work with it rather than against it, everything changes. Joseph Murphy dedicated his life's work to revealing this hidden truth, this fundamental understanding that your outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflection of your inner world. Every single thing you see in your physical reality right now, from your bank balance to your relationships to the opportunities that come your way, all of it originated first as a pattern in your consciousness. Your dominant thoughts, the stories you tell yourself repeatedly, the words you speak most. Frequently throughout your day, these aren't just fleeting mental events that disappear into nothingness. They're actually creating a blueprint, a template that the universe uses to construct your external circumstances. Think about it this way. An architect doesn't just start building a house randomly, throwing materials together and hoping something livable emerges. First comes the blueprint, the detailed plan that determines every aspect of what the finished structure will look like. Your mind works exactly the same way. The thoughts and words you repeat most often become your blueprint, and the universe, which is far more intelligent and creative than we can fully comprehend, goes to work bringing that blueprint into physical form. This is why two people can start with similar circumstances and end up in completely different places 5 years later. They're working from different blueprints, different inner patterns that naturally produce different outer results. The challenge most people face is that they're completely unconscious of what blueprint they're creating. They wake up and their mind immediately starts running the same old programs, the same familiar thoughts they've been thinking for years. I can't afford this. Money is hard to come by. I'm not lucky like other people. Things never work out for me. And they don't realize that every single one of those thoughts is an instruction, a command being sent to their subconscious mind, which then faithfully goes, about arranging their reality to match those instructions. It's not punishment, it's not the universe being cruel, it's simply law in action. The transformation you're seeking isn't about changing your circumstances directly, it's about changing the blueprint first, and then watching as your circumstances naturally reorganize themselves to match your new inner pattern. This is where the real power lies, in the recognition that you're not a victim of external forces, but the architect of your own experience. Every decision you make, every thought you entertain, every word you speak is either reinforcing the old blueprint of lack or creating a new blueprint of abundance. Write in the comments, "I'm the architect." Let's build this awareness together. There's an old saying that Joseph Murphy often referenced, and it's more literal than most people realize. Your word is your wand. Every single time you open your mouth and speak, you're not just making sounds or exchanging information. You're actually casting spells, real energetic commands that ripple out into the fabric of reality and begin shaping your circumstances. This might sound mystical or exaggerated, but think about the impact words have had throughout human history. Declarations of war, vows of marriage, legal contracts, promises between friends. All of these are examples of words creating tangible consequences in the physical world. Your daily speech works the same way, just on a more personal and continuous scale. The problem is that most people are walking around casting spells against themselves without even knowing it. They've turned their wand against their own prosperity, their own happiness, their own success, and they're doing it dozens of times every single day through casual, unconscious language. Listen to the conversations happening around you, or better yet, pay attention to your own inner dialogue for just 1 hour. How many times do you hear yourself or others say things like, "I'm so broke, I can't afford that. Now I'm terrible with money. Nothing ever goes my way," or "I'm just not lucky like other people"? These aren't harmless observations or innocent complaints. They're creative commands, declarations that your subconscious mind receives as instructions and immediately begins executing. Your subconscious doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't understand sarcasm or exaggeration. When you say, "I'm broke," even if you're just venting frustration, your subconscious hears a direct order: maintain the state of being broke. When you declare, "I'm bad with money," you're programming yourself to make poor financial decisions, to overlook opportunities, to unconsciously sabotage any progress you might make toward wealth. The hidden truth that most people never grasp is that their struggle isn't happening because of external circumstances, but because of the continuous stream of negative declarations they're making about those circumstances. This is where the real transformation begins, in the recognition that you've been given an incredibly powerful tool, but you've been using it backwards. Imagine if you discovered you'd been holding a magic wand your entire life, but you'd been pointing it at yourself and saying, "Make my life harder, make money scarce, keep me stuck." The revelation isn't that you need to acquire some new power or ability. You already have it. You've always had it. You just need to turn the wand around and start using it in alignment with what you actually want to create, rather than what you've been unconsciously perpetuating. The journey from lack to abundance isn't about working harder or getting luckier. It's about becoming conscious of the spells you're casting every single day and making a deliberate decision to change them. It's about understanding that every word carries weight, carries creative power, and that you get to choose which reality you're commanding into existence. Put in the comments, "I choose my words wisely." This is a powerful declaration to make right now. When you speak words with conviction, with that internal sense of certainty, you're not just expressing yourself. You're actually decreeing something into existence. This is one of the most powerful revelations Joseph Murphy shared with the world. This understanding that you're constantly acting as a sovereign authority over your own life, issuing decrees that the universe must honor. Think about how a king or queen issues a royal decree. It's not a request, not a suggestion, not a hopeful wish. It's a command that carries the full weight of their authority, and everyone in the kingdom understands that this decree will now become reality. You possess that same authority over your personal kingdom, your life, your circumstances, your financial reality. The challenge is that most people don't realize they're issuing decrees at all. They think they're just talking, just venting, just describing what they see. But every statement you make with emotional energy behind it, every declaration you repeat consistently is registering as an official decree in the hidden machinery of your consciousness. When you say with frustration, "I never have enough money," you're not just observing your bank balance. You're decreeing that insufficiency continues. When you declare opportunities never come my way, you're commanding your reality to maintain that pattern of missed chances and closed doors. What makes this even more fascinating is how your subconscious mind responds to these decrees. Your subconscious is the most loyal, obedient servant you could ever imagine. It doesn't talk back, doesn't question your judgment, doesn't argue about whether your commands are good for you or harmful. It simply accepts every single statement you make with conviction as absolute truth and immediately gets to work making sure your external reality matches that declared truth. This servant has extraordinary power and intelligence. It controls your automatic behaviors, influences your perceptions, guides your decisions, and even affects how other people respond to you, all happening behind the scenes, where your conscious mind can't directly observe the process. The impact of this understanding is staggering once you truly grasp it. You've been walking around with the most faithful employee imaginable, someone who works 24 hours a day, without complaint, without vacation, without ever questioning your instructions. But here's the thing, this servant takes everything literally. It has no sense of humor, no ability to interpret context or understand that you're just joking around or blowing off steam. When you casually say, "I'm so stupid with finances," your subconscious doesn't think, "Oh, they're just frustrated." It thinks, "Understood, maintain stupid financial decisions, got it." And then it faithfully executes that command by subtly influencing you to overlook important details, to make impulsive purchases, to miss obvious opportunities. The transformation available to you right now isn't about finding a new servant or acquiring some external resource. It's about recognizing that you already have the most powerful ally possible, and all you need to do is give it better instructions, clearer decrees that align with prosperity rather than lack. Write in the comments, "My servant hears abundance. Let's reprogram together." Once your subconscious mind accepts a decree as truth, something remarkable happens behind the scenes. It doesn't just passively hold that belief. It actively begins reorganizing your entire reality to match it. This loyal servant has access to mechanisms you can't consciously control. It influences which opportunities you notice and which ones you completely overlook. It affects the energy you broadcast in social situations, determining whether people feel drawn to help you or instinctively keep their distance. It guides the micro-decisions you make throughout your day, those small choices that seem insignificant in the moment but compound over time into your actual life circumstances. The hidden truth about manifestation is that it's happening constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. Your subconscious is always arranging, always orchestrating, always working to make your external world match your internal declarations. This is why some people seem to stumble into lucky breaks, while others can't catch a break, no matter how hard they try. It's not about luck at all. It's about what commands each person has been giving to their faithful servant through years of repetitive thoughts and words. The person experiencing abundance has been unconsciously decreeing abundance, and their subconscious has been faithfully arranging circumstances to deliver it. The person stuck in struggle has been decreeing limitation, and their subconscious has been just as faithfully delivering that. Think about what this means for your current situation. If you've been repeatedly saying things like, "Money just slips through my fingers," or "I'm always broke by the end of the month," your subconscious has accepted these as marching orders. It's not being cruel or sabotaging you out of malice. It's being incredibly loyal, working tirelessly to ensure your reality matches your declared truth. So it subtly influences you to make that impulse purchase you didn't really need. It causes you to forget about that bill until the late fee kicks in. It makes you uncomfortable with negotiating for better pay because, after all, you've decreed that you're not good with money, and your servant is simply keeping your life consistent with that decree. The transformation you're seeking isn't out there somewhere, waiting to be found or earned or deserved. It's an inside job, a shift in the commands you're giving to the most powerful force in your life. This is why external solutions like budgeting apps or get-rich-quick schemes never create lasting change. You can change your strategy, change your job, change your location, but if you don't change your decrees, your faithful subconscious servant will simply recreate the same patterns in the new circumstances. The impact of understanding this cannot be overstated. You're not fighting against a hostile universe. You're working with an incredibly obedient system that's been delivering exactly what you've been ordering. The journey forward requires you to become conscious of what you've been unconsciously commanding and then make a deliberate decision to issue new decrees, clear instructions that align with prosperity rather than perpetuate scarcity. Put in the comments, "I'm issuing new commands." This is your declaration of change. The revelation that changes everything is this: you're not unlucky, you're not cursed. The universe isn't singling you out for hardship or blocking your path to prosperity. What's actually happening is far simpler and, honestly, far more empowering. You've been misaligned. Think of it like a radio trying to pick up a station. When you're slightly off the frequency, all you get is static and fragments of sound. You know the station is there, broadcasting clearly, but you can't receive it properly because you're tuned to the wrong frequency. Your financial struggles aren't evidence that abundance doesn't exist or that you're somehow unworthy of it. They're simply evidence that you've been tuned to the wrong station through the constant repetition of lack-based thoughts and complaints. Every single time you focus on what you don't have, every time you complain about your circumstances, every time you worry about bills or stress about money, you're broadcasting a very specific vibration into the universe. And here's what most people don't understand about vibration. It's not some abstract spiritual concept. It's the actual energetic signature you're putting out through your thoughts, emotions, and words. When you're vibrating at the frequency of scarcity, when your dominant internal state is one of worry and lack, you literally cannot perceive or attract opportunities that exist at a different frequency. It's not that those opportunities aren't there. It's that you're tuned to a channel where they simply don't appear. Joseph Murphy explained this principle brilliantly throughout his work. He understood that the universe operates on the principle of like attracts like, not as some mystical belief, but as a fundamental law of consciousness. When you're constantly thinking and speaking from a place of "I don't have enough," you're sending out a signal that magnetizes more situations that confirm that belief. Your focus on scarcity creates a vibrational match with scarcity. And the universe, being perfectly neutral and responsive, delivers more of what you're resonating with. This isn't punishment. This is precision. The system is working exactly as it's designed to work. The transformation available to you happens the moment you recognize that alignment is a choice, not a circumstance. You don't have to wait until your bank account looks different to start vibrating at the frequency of abundance. In fact, that's backwards. You have to shift your vibration first, and then your circumstances naturally reorganize themselves to match that new frequency. This is where the real power lies, in understanding that you control the dial. You decide what station you're tuned to through the decisions you make about what to focus on, what to speak about, what to believe about your relationship with money and prosperity. The journey from struggle to flow isn't about working harder or being smarter. It's about making a fundamental shift in your vibrational alignment, moving from the frequency of scarcity to the frequency of abundance through deliberate, consistent practice. Write in the comments, "I'm shifting my frequency." Let this be your turning point. Here's something that might surprise you, and it's actually incredibly liberating once you fully grasp it. The law of manifestation isn't personal. It doesn't care who you are, what your background is, what mistakes you've made, or how many times you've failed before. It works with the same precise consistency for everyone, everywhere, all the time. Just like gravity doesn't discriminate, pulling on a billionaire with exactly the same force it pulls on someone struggling to pay rent, the law of attraction responds to your dominant vibration regardless of your story or circumstances. This means that your past doesn't determine your future. Your current situation doesn't lock you into a permanent reality. The universe isn't keeping score or holding grudges. What this law does is simple. It delivers more of whatever you're focusing on and speaking about most frequently. If someone is experiencing abundance, it's not because they're special or chosen or lucky. It's because they've been consistently vibrating at the frequency of abundance, consciously or unconsciously, and the law has been faithfully delivering matching experiences. If someone is stuck in struggle, it's not because they're cursed or undeserving. It's because they've been vibrating at the frequency of struggle, and the law, being completely neutral, has been delivering that instead. There's no judgment in this system, no favoritism, no cosmic conspiracy against you. There's just law operating with perfect consistency. And here's where the real transformation becomes possible. Because this law is impersonal and consistent, it means you can change your results at any moment by changing your input. You're not waiting for the universe to suddenly decide you're worthy. You're not hoping for some external force to finally give you a break. You have the power right now, in this very moment, to issue completely new orders to your subconscious mind. You can decide to stop aligning yourself with scarcity and start aligning yourself with infinite supply. This isn't about pretending or faking it. It's about making a genuine decision to shift your dominant focus, your habitual thoughts, your repeated words. The beautiful thing about understanding that this is law and not personal whim is that it removes all the uncertainty. You don't have to wonder if it'll work for you. You don't have to worry about being good enough or deserving enough. You just have to follow the principles, just like you follow the principle of planting seeds. If you want to harvest crops, plant thoughts of abundance, water them with consistent repetition, and the harvest will come. It's inevitable. The impact of this realization is profound because it means you're never stuck. No matter how long you've been experiencing lack, no matter how deeply ingrained your negative patterns might be, you can start fresh right now by simply giving your subconscious servant new instructions. The journey from where you are to where you want to be doesn't require years of therapy or complex strategies. It requires a clear decision followed by consistent practice. Put in the comments, "I'm giving new orders now." This marks your fresh start. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about spiritual truth is that it needs to be complicated to be powerful. We've been conditioned to believe that transformation requires years of study, expensive courses, complex rituals, or some secret knowledge that only a select few can access. But Joseph Murphy's entire life's work proved the opposite. The most profound truths are remarkably simple. They don't require you to master ancient languages or spend decades in meditation. They require you to understand a basic principle and then actually apply it, right now, in this moment. Think about the most powerful forces in nature. Gravity isn't complicated. You don't need a physics degree to benefit from it or to understand that if you drop something, it falls. Electricity isn't mysterious once you grasp the basic principle. Flip the switch, the light comes on. The law of manifestation works the same way. It's elegant in its simplicity, and that simplicity is actually its greatest strength. The hidden truth is that complexity is often just a distraction, a way to keep you stuck in the learning phase instead of moving into the doing phase. You don't need more information. You don't need to read 17 more books or watch 50 more videos. You need to take what you're learning right now and put it into practice immediately. This is where most people get stuck. They become perpetual students, always searching for the next piece of information, the missing link that'll finally make everything click. But transformation doesn't happen in your head through intellectual understanding. It happens through practical application, through actually using the principles in your daily life. Joseph Murphy emphasized this constantly. He wasn't interested in abstract philosophy or theoretical discussions. He wanted people to experience tangible results, to see their circumstances actually change because they applied what they learned. The shift in consciousness we're talking about isn't something that requires years to achieve. It can happen in an instant, the moment you truly decide to stop operating from lack and start operating from abundance. That decision, that internal shift, is what creates the transformation. Everything else is just support structure around that central moment of choice. The impact of understanding this cannot be overstated because it means you're not waiting for some future moment when you finally have enough knowledge or enough spiritual development. You're ready right now. You've always been ready. The only thing standing between you and the prosperity you desire is the decision to align yourself differently. The journey you're on isn't about accumulating more wisdom or becoming someone different than who you are. It's about recognizing the power you already possess and directing it intentionally rather than unconsciously. It's about moving from theory into practice, from thinking about change to actually embodying it through your words and focus. Write in the comments, "I'm applying this now." Action creates results, not just understanding. To change your reality, you have to interrupt the pattern. This is where most people fail, not because they don't want to change, but because they underestimate how deeply ingrained their old thought patterns have become. You've spent years, maybe decades, running the same mental programs, speaking the same limiting phrases, focusing on the same worries. These patterns have carved deep grooves in your consciousness, like water flowing down the same path over and over until it creates a canyon. Your thoughts naturally flow down these familiar channels without you even noticing. Breaking free requires more than just wanting things to be different. It requires deliberate, intentional disruption of those automatic patterns. Think about what happens in your typical day. You wake up, and within minutes, your mind starts running its usual routine. Maybe it's worrying about money before you even get out of bed. Maybe it's that familiar feeling of dread when you think about your bills. Maybe it's the automatic thought that today will probably be just like yesterday. These aren't conscious choices you're making. They're patterns, deeply worn grooves that your mind slides into effortlessly. And every single time you allow those patterns to run unchallenged, you're reinforcing them, making them stronger, more automatic, harder to break. The transformation you're seeking cannot happen while those old patterns remain in control. This is where the power of repetition becomes your greatest ally. Joseph Murphy understood something fundamental about how the human mind works. Your subconscious doesn't respond well to occasional half-hearted efforts. It responds to consistency, to repetition, to the steady drumbeat of new information that eventually overwrites the old programming. When you repeat a new thought, a new declaration, a new decree with genuine conviction and frequency, you're literally creating new neural pathways in your brain. At first, these new pathways are weak, like barely visible trails through dense forest. But with each repetition, they become stronger, clearer, more established. Behind the scenes, something remarkable is happening. Each time you repeat your prosperity decree, you're not just saying words. You're actively rewiring your brain, creating new automatic responses, building new grooves for your thoughts to flow through. After enough repetition, these new patterns become as automatic as the old ones were. Eventually, abundance thinking becomes your default mode, not something you have to consciously force. This is the hidden mechanics of transformation, the actual process by which change happens at the deepest levels of your consciousness. The journey from lack to prosperity isn't about one big breakthrough moment. It's about the accumulation of small, consistent actions that gradually shift your entire internal landscape. Every single time you interrupt an old thought pattern and replace it with your new decree, you're making progress, even if you can't see it yet. Put in the comments, "I'm breaking the pattern. Let's build momentum together." Your subconscious mind needs to be overwhelmed with new information if you want real change to happen. Think of it like trying to change the course of a river. A few pebbles thrown in the water won't do anything. The river will simply flow around them and continue on its established path. But if you bring in truckloads of earth, stones, and materials, consistently building up a new channel day after day, eventually the river has no choice but to change direction. That's exactly what you need to do with your consciousness. You need to bombard your subconscious with new decrees, new declarations, new orders that are so clear, so frequent, and so consistent that it simply cannot continue running the old lack-based programs anymore. This is why casual, occasional affirmations don't work. Saying something positive once in the morning and then spending the rest of your day thinking and speaking from lack is like throwing a single pebble into that river. The old current is too strong. It needs to be interrupted constantly, systematically, until a new current is established. The transformation happens through frequency and repetition, not through intensity of belief in any single moment. You don't have to feel it perfectly every time. You just have to do it consistently, trusting that each repetition is adding to the pile, building up that new channel that will eventually redirect your entire flow of consciousness. This brings us to the practical mechanics of how to actually implement this in your daily life. The most effective method, the one that creates results fastest, is to set an alarm on your phone to go off every single hour. Not every few hours when you remember, not just in the morning and evening, but every hour throughout your waking day. When that alarm sounds, no matter what you're doing, you stop for just a few seconds and speak your decree. You're creating a new rhythm, a new pulse in your consciousness that beats steadily throughout your entire day. This hourly practice does something profound. It doesn't give your old patterns any room to breathe. Just when your mind starts sliding back into worry or complaint or lack-based thinking, the alarm goes off and interrupts that descent, pulling you back up into alignment with abundance. The hidden power in this approach is that you're training your mind to operate on a completely different frequency. Instead of the old rhythm of worry, check the bank account, worry some more, complain about bills. You're establishing a new rhythm of decree, alignment. Decree, alignment over and over until it becomes automatic. Your subconscious begins to recognize this new pattern as your primary operating system. The impact compounds rapidly because you're not giving the old programming any chance to reassert itself. You're systematically replacing it, hour by hour, throughout every single day. Write in the comments, "My new rhythm is abundance." Feel this shift happening now. Now let me share with you the actual decree, the specific words that Joseph Murphy taught would activate the law of infinite supply in your life. This isn't just another affirmation you've heard before. Every single word in this sentence has been chosen with precision, with understanding of how consciousness works, with awareness of the creative power language holds. The decree is this: my infinite supply is now released and comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Read that again slowly. Feel the weight of each word. This is not a request. This is not begging. This is a declaration of what already exists and is now manifesting into your physical reality. Let's start with my infinite supply. Notice you're not saying some supply or a little bit of help or just enough to get by this month. You're claiming infinite supply. Infinite means without limit, without end, inexhaustible. This is crucial because most people approach prosperity from a mindset of limitation. They're hoping for enough, maybe a little extra if they're lucky. But Joseph Murphy taught that you have a spiritual birthright to unlimited abundance. The universe isn't running out of resources. There isn't a cosmic shortage that means if someone else prospers, there's less for you. Supply is infinite, and you're claiming your portion of that infinity, which is itself infinite. The word "my" is equally powerful because it establishes ownership. You're not asking permission. You're not hoping someone might give you access. You're declaring that this infinite supply belongs to you, is yours by divine right, is part of your inherent nature as a spiritual being. This shifts you from the position of beggar to the position of heir, from someone hoping for handouts to someone claiming their rightful inheritance. The transformation in how you relate to prosperity starts with this simple shift in language and the consciousness behind it. Then comes, is now released. Not, will be released someday or might be released if I'm good enough. Is now released. Present tense. Happening in this moment. The supply isn't something you need to create through struggle and effort. It already exists in the invisible realm of infinite possibility, and your decree is the key that releases it into your visible, tangible experience. Behind the scenes, the moment you speak these words with conviction, spiritual forces begin moving, arranging, orchestrating the manifestation of what you've declared. The journey from lack to abundance requires you to stop thinking small. Stop asking for scraps and start claiming the infinite inheritance that Joseph Murphy insisted was always meant for you. Put in the comments, "My infinite supply is mine." Claim this truth right now. When we talk about supply, most people immediately think only about money, and while money is certainly part of it, limiting your understanding to just cash flow is like looking at a magnificent painting and only seeing one color. Your infinite supply includes everything you need for true prosperity. It's the brilliant idea that downloads into your mind at exactly the right moment, solving a problem you've been wrestling with for months. It's the unexpected phone call from someone who has exactly what you need. It's the opportunity that appears out of nowhere, perfectly aligned with your skills and desires. It's the solution that seems to organize itself without you having to force anything. It's the perfect timing where things fall into place in ways you couldn't have orchestrated if you tried. Joseph Murphy emphasized this broader understanding of supply because he knew that the universe's intelligence far exceeds our limited human planning. When you declare that your infinite supply is released, you're not just asking for a paycheck, you're opening yourself to receive abundance in all its forms, through channels you might never have considered, in ways that often surprise and delight you. The hidden truth is that supply is always flowing, like an underground river of infinite resources, and your decree acts as the well that taps into that flow, bringing it to the surface of your conscious experience. Now let's talk about something that might challenge your current understanding of how manifestation works. The phrase "is now released" carries a profound implication that most people miss. It means your supply already exists, not might exist someday, or could exist if you work hard enough. It exists right now in what Joseph Murphy called the invisible realm, the realm of infinite possibility, where everything that could be already is. You're not creating your prosperity through struggle and strain. You're not building it from scratch. You're releasing what has already been prepared for you, what's been waiting for you, what's yours by spiritual law. Think of it like this. Everything you see in the physical world began first as an invisible idea, an unseen possibility. The chair you're sitting on, the device you're watching this, on the building you're in, all of it existed in invisible form before it manifested physically. Your prosperity works the same way. It already exists in perfect, complete form in the realm of infinite potential. Your decree, spoken with conviction and repeated with consistency, is the mechanism that brings it from the invisible into the visible, from potential into actual, from the spiritual dimension into your physical experience. The transformation you're seeking isn't about becoming worthy or earning the right to prosper. It's about recognizing what's already yours and claiming it through your words. Write in the comments, "It already exists for me." Acknowledge this powerful truth. Your word is the command that opens the floodgate. Imagine a massive reservoir of water sitting behind a dam, unlimited in quantity, under immense pressure, ready to flow the moment the gate is opened. That water doesn't need to be created. It doesn't need to be earned or deserved. It's already there, waiting. All that's required is for someone to open the gate. Your decree, spoken with authority and conviction, is that command. "My infinite supply is now released" isn't a hopeful wish. It's the lever being pulled, the gate being opened, the floodgate responding to your voice as the master of your reality. And once that gate opens, the supply flows naturally, effortlessly, without you having to push or force or manipulate anything. This is where most people's understanding of manifestation gets confused. They think prosperity requires exhausting effort, grinding away, sacrificing their peace, playing political games, or compromising their values. But that's the old paradigm, the struggle consciousness that Joseph Murphy spent his life teaching people to transcend. The phrase "comes to me under grace" changes everything about how you relate to receiving abundance. Under grace means without friction, without struggle, without having to step on anyone else or hurt anyone in process. It means your prosperity flows to you through harmonious channels, in ways that feel good, that benefit everyone involved, that create win-win situations rather than zero-sum competitions. When something comes under grace, there's an ease to it, an elegance, a sense that the universe is conspiring in your favor rather than working against you. You don't have to manipulate circumstances or force outcomes. You don't have to lie, cheat, or compromise your integrity. The opportunities that arrive, the money that flows, the solutions that appear, they come in ways that feel right, that align with your highest good and the highest good of everyone involved. This is the hidden beauty of working with spiritual law rather than just relying on human effort. The transformation happens at a level beyond what your conscious mind could orchestrate. Behind the scenes, when you decree that your supply comes under grace, you're activating a higher intelligence that knows how to arrange circumstances far better than you ever could. You're surrendering the how to the universe while maintaining clarity about the what. You're saying, "I know my infinite supply is coming, and I trust that it will arrive in perfect ways that harm no one and bless everyone." This removes the stress, the anxiety, the desperate grasping that actually blocks prosperity from flowing. The impact of this understanding is profound because it means you can relax into abundance rather than fighting for it. Put in the comments, "I receive under grace." Claim this ease right now. The final part of the decree is "in perfect ways," and this might be the most liberating phrase of all because it releases you from the exhausting burden of trying to control how your prosperity arrives. Most people struggle not just with lack, but with the constant mental pressure of trying to figure out every step, plan every move, anticipate every obstacle. They're trying to be both the visionary and the project manager, the architect and the construction crew, but that's not your job. Your job is remarkably simple, almost too simple for most people to believe at first. You decree what you want, and the universe handles how it gets to you. Think about the difference between these two approaches. In the old paradigm, you might say, "I need money, so I have to work overtime, maybe get a second job, cut all my expenses, sell some things, ask for a raise." You're trying to manually control every channel through which prosperity might flow. You're limiting yourself to only the pathways your conscious mind can see, which is a tiny fraction of what's actually available. But when you decree, "My infinite supply comes to me in perfect ways," you're opening yourself to channels you haven't even thought of, opportunities that don't exist yet in your awareness, solutions that are so creative and unexpected that you could never have planned them. Joseph Murphy told countless stories of people whose supply came in the most surprising ways once they stopped trying to control the how. Someone receives an unexpected inheritance. A business opportunity falls into their lap through a casual conversation at a coffee shop. A skill they developed years ago suddenly becomes extremely valuable in a new market. A mistake that seemed devastating at the time turns out to be the perfect redirection towards something better. These are the perfect ways the universe operates when you give it permission to be creative, to surprise you, to deliver through channels that bypass your limited human planning. The transformation that happens when you embrace this principle is profound. You stop living in constant strategic mode, always calculating, always anxious about whether you're doing enough or taking the right steps. Instead, you move into a state of inspired action, where you decree your desire clearly and then follow the intuitive nudges, the unexpected opportunities, the synchronistic moments that start appearing once you're aligned with abundance. The hidden truth is that the universe's intelligence is infinitely greater than yours. And when you try to micromanage the manifestation process, you're actually getting in the way. Behind the scenes, there are forces at work, connections being made, circumstances being arranged that you cannot see yet. Your job is simply to maintain your decree, to hold steady in your conviction that your infinite supply is released and coming to you. The impact of surrendering the how cannot be overstated, because it frees up all that mental and emotional energy you've been spending on worry and planning. Write in the comments, "I trust the perfect ways." Let go of control right now. So here's what I want you to commit to right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready, but right now in this very moment. For the next 7 days, you're going to say this decree with genuine feeling and conviction once every single hour. This isn't a casual suggestion. This is the practice that will create the shift you've been seeking. Set an alarm on your phone right now. Label it something that resonates with you, maybe "my supply" or "infinite abundance," or simply "decree time." And when that alarm goes off, no matter where you are or what you're doing, you honor it. You stop for those few seconds and you speak your decree. I know what you're thinking. What if I'm in a meeting? What if I'm at the grocery store? What if I'm in the middle of a conversation? It doesn't matter. You can speak it silently with the same conviction and authority. The universe doesn't need to hear your voice. It responds to your intention, your feeling, your inner certainty. But here's what's crucial, and this is where most people miss the mark completely. You cannot mumble these words. You cannot say them half-heartedly while your mind is thinking about something else. You cannot treat this like some obligatory task you're checking off a list. Transformation happens through the quality of your decree, not just the quantity. When you speak these words, whether out loud or silently, you need to speak them with authority. Remember, you're not begging the universe for favors. You're not pleading with some distant cosmic force to maybe, possibly, if it's in a good mood, throw you a bone. You are commanding spiritual law to respond to your decree. You are the master of your reality, the sovereign of your experience, the one with the wand. Joseph Murphy emphasized this distinction constantly because he understood that the energy behind your words matters just as much as the words themselves. When you decree with authority, you're operating from a place of knowing, not hoping. You're stating what is, not what might be. Think about the difference in energy between, please, if it's okay, could I maybe have some money, versus, my infinite supply is now released and comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Can you feel the shift? The Sayye first is coming from lack, from powerlessness, from the position of a beggar. The second is a command, a declaration, a sovereign statement of truth. Behind the scenes, your subconscious responds to that authority. The universe responds to that certainty. The hidden mechanics of manifestation require you to claim your power, not give it away through weak, uncertain language. The impact of speaking with authority extends far beyond just the words themselves. It actually changes your entire energetic signature, the way you show up in the world, the opportunities you notice, the decisions you make. Put in the comments, I speak with authority. Embody this power now. What makes this hourly practice so powerful is what it does to your conscious mind throughout the day. Think about your typical thought patterns. You might wake up feeling positive, maybe even optimistic, but then life happens. You see a bill, you remember a problem, someone says something that triggers an old fear. And within minutes you've slipped back into lack-based thinking. Your mind gravitates toward worry, like water flowing downhill, following those deeply worn grooves we talked about earlier. But when you're practicing this decree every hour, you're creating constant interruptions to that downward spiral. Every single time that alarm goes off, you're being pulled out of whatever fearful or limited thinking you might have drifted into and realigned with the truth of infinite abundance. This is the hidden mechanism that makes hourly practice so much more effective than morning affirmations alone. You're not just setting an intention at the start of your day and then hoping it lasts. You're actively maintaining that alignment throughout every hour, constantly course-correcting, perpetually redirecting your focus back to prosperity consciousness. The transformation happens in these repeated moments of realignment. Each time you speak your decree, you're essentially resetting your frequency, tuning yourself back to the abundance channel, even if you'd unconsciously switched to the worry channel a few minutes earlier. Now let's talk about what's happening beneath the surface, in that powerful subconscious realm that controls so much of your experience. After you've repeated this decree 16 times in a single day, something shifts. Your subconscious, which has been running the old lack programs for years, starts to notice. It's like a loyal employee who's been following the same procedures forever, suddenly receiving new instructions repeatedly throughout the day. At first, it might resist, might try to maintain the old patterns. But with each repetition, with each authoritative decree, the new programming gets stronger, clearer, more insistent. After 7 days of this practice, after over 100 repetitions of your decree, your subconscious mind has no choice but to fully accept this as your new truth. The old programming hasn't completely disappeared, but it's been overlaid with something stronger, something you've been reinforcing hourly with conviction and feeling. Behind the scenes, your subconscious begins operating from this new truth, making decisions aligned with abundance, noticing opportunities it would have previously overlooked, guiding you toward choices that support your prosperity rather than sabotage it. The impact of this subconscious shift is where the real magic happens because it's automatic, effortless, happening without your conscious effort. Write in the comments, "My mind is reprogrammed." Acknowledge this deep transformation happening within you. Once your subconscious mind has fully accepted this new decree as truth, something remarkable begins happening in your external world. Your subconscious doesn't just hold beliefs passively. It has extraordinary orchestrating power, the ability to arrange circumstances, attract opportunities, and guide you towards situations that match your internal programming. This isn't mystical thinking. This is how consciousness works. When your internal truth shifts from "I never have enough" to "My infinite supply is now released," your subconscious has no choice but to start reorganizing your reality to reflect that new truth. It's not optional, it's law. The journey from internal shift to external manifestation doesn't always look the way you expect, and that's actually one of the most exciting parts. You might be hoping for a specific outcome, a particular amount of money from a known source, but the universe often delivers through channels you hadn't considered. Joseph Murphy taught that you should watch for the signs, the evidence that your decree is working its way into physical form. These signs might be subtle at first, but they're unmistakable once you know what to look for. Maybe you check your mailbox and there's an unexpected check, a refund you'd forgotten about, a rebate that finally came through. Maybe you're scrolling through your phone and you see a message from someone you haven't heard from in months, and it turns out they have an opportunity perfect for your skills. Maybe that problem you've been wrestling with, the one that's been draining your energy and resources, suddenly has a solution that appears seemingly out of nowhere. Someone mentions something in passing that gives you the exact insight you needed. A piece of information lands in your awareness at precisely the right moment. Behind the scenes, you're transformed. Consciousness is now operating like a magnet, drawing these experiences to you. The brilliant ideas that start downloading into your mind, those sudden flashes of insight about how to improve your situation, those aren't random. They're your infinite supply manifesting as inspiration, as creativity, as divine guidance. New clients appear, sometimes through the most unexpected referrals. Money flows from directions you hadn't anticipated. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. The hidden truth about manifestation is that it rarely arrives as one giant windfall, though that can happen. More often, it comes as a series of perfect moments, synchronicities, opportunities that build upon each other. The impact compounds as you stay consistent with your decree because each manifestation strengthens your faith, which deepens your conviction, which accelerates more manifestation. You enter a positive spiral, an upward momentum that becomes self-reinforcing. Put in the comments, "I'm seeing the signs." Acknowledge what's already beginning to shift for you. I need you to do something right now, not later, not after you finish watching this video, not tomorrow morning when you have more time. Right now, in this very moment, I want you to pause and set that alarm on your phone. Pull it out, open your clock app, and create a repeating hourly alarm. This single action, this decision you make right now, is the beginning of your transformation. It's the first domino that starts the chain reaction. The moment you set that alarm, you're making a declaration to yourself and to the universe that you're serious about this, that you're not just consuming information for entertainment, but actually committing to change. And the instant that alarm goes off for the first time, I want you to speak the decree with every ounce of conviction you can muster. My infinite supply is now released and comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Feel those words, mean them, let them resonate through your entire being. That first repetition is significant because it activates the entire process. It's like turning the key in the ignition. Everything we've talked about, all the understanding about consciousness and subconscious programming and vibrational alignment, it all becomes real the moment you take action. Theory without practice is just entertainment, but practice transforms everything. The hidden truth that Joseph Murphy wanted everyone to understand is that you are not a victim. You never were, even though it might have felt that way when circumstances seemed overwhelming and out of your control. You are the master of your destiny, the architect of your experience, the sovereign authority in your own life. Every moment of lack you've experienced wasn't happening to you. It was happening through you, created by the unconscious decrees you were making through your habitual thoughts and words. But if you created lack unconsciously, imagine what you can create. When you become conscious, deliberate, intentional, your words are your wand. This isn't poetry. This isn't metaphor. This is literal spiritual mechanics. Every time you speak, you are casting creative force into the world, shaping energy into form, commanding reality to organize itself according to your declarations. You've been doing this your entire life, but you've been doing it unconsciously, pointing that wand in all directions without awareness of its power. Now you know better. Now you understand the weapon you've been wielding, and it's time to start using it with the precision and authority of someone who knows exactly what they're creating. The transformation from victim consciousness to creator consciousness happens in a single decision, in one moment of clarity where you recognize your true power and choose to claim it. Write in the comments, "I am the master." Step into this identity right now. So here we are at the end of this journey together, and if you've made it all the way here, I know this message found you exactly when you needed it. That's not coincidence. That's the universe already responding to your readiness for transformation. You now have everything you need to shift from lack to abundance, from struggle to flow. The decree, the understanding behind it, the practice that makes it real. All that's left is your commitment to actually do it. If this resonated with you, if something clicked while you were watching, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. I don't create content just to fill the internet with more noise. Every video here is designed to give you practical, powerful tools that actually work. Tools based on Joseph Murphy's timeless wisdom and the universal laws that govern prosperity. When you subscribe, you're making sure you don't miss the next piece of insight that might be exactly what you need to hear at exactly the right moment. And do me a favor, leave a comment right now saying, "This message was meant for me." Let me know you were here, that you received this, that you're committing to the practice. I read every single comment, and there's something powerful about declaring your intention publicly. It makes it real. It creates accountability. Plus, I genuinely want to hear how this unfolds for you over the coming days and weeks. If this video helped you see your situation differently, if it gave you hope or clarity or a practical path forward, hit that like button. It helps more people find this message, and honestly, it lets me know we're connecting, that what I'm sharing is landing with you in a meaningful way. Now, there's a video right here that takes this understanding even deeper. It complements everything we've talked about today and gives you additional tools for maintaining your abundance consciousness. Click it and continue this journey with me over there. Your infinite supply is waiting, and so am I.